There are two important points which can be applied to symbolic interactionism.
First, detrimental outcomes will occur if people live in isolation.
Isolation means bluntly alone and consistently cut off from other people. You see, human interaction with one another is what makes people who they are.
When two people communicate, they use symbols. One person picks a symbol that they think will communicate something specific to the other person. He then uses that symbol to communicate something to the other person. However, each of these people may not be interpreting the symbol to mean the same thing. It all depends upon what experiences may be tied to the symbol and thus how it is understood.
Thus, how another person interprets a symbol determines how they react to people. Therefore, the human self is created through the interaction with others. So if we were never exposed to other humans, we would never be able to build our own concepts of symbols because no one would ever communicate with us.
Second, symbolic interactionism assumes that interaction between individuals and groups is based primarily on symbols. Thus, symbols and the study of their meaning are an integral part of sociology.
You see, symbolic interactionism views social systems as products of the meanings people give their situations, right? We've said this already. Now add to that thought. Symbolic interactionism focuses on the symbols the individual uses in social interaction. So the symbolic interaction perspective asks,
how do people make sense of their world, influence one another, and define themselves?
So, in the symbolic interactionist perspective, people interpret their experiences through their daily interactions with others. By examining the symbols used in social interaction, one can better understand the how and why of the social interaction.
Before we move on, let's take a look back at the three main sociological theories: functionalism, conflict, and symbolic interactionism.
The first theory, functionalism, is a macro-level perspective which attempts to explain relations within society in terms of the relationships between individuals, groups, and institutions, and the consequences of these relationships. Functionalism concentrates on how each of these parts of society fits with the rest, what each part of society does, and how, if a part of society's function were to change, the change would affect the rest of society's parts.
The second theory, conflict theory, states that the organization of society can be explained by the conflicts inherent in many social relations. We gave you one example of conflict, the one between Karl Marx's two social classes, the capitalists and the proletarians.
The third theory, symbolic interactionism, asserts that the self and society are built through interactions based on symbols and language. Symbols represent something to a human being. A symbol could be a word from a language, a nonverbal gesture, or a picture. Symbolic interactionism suggests that the understanding of symbols makes a social being, and in turn, social beings interact to make a society.
We also mentioned two important points to regard when studying symbolic interactionism. One, detrimental outcomes will occur if people live in isolation. Second, symbolic interactionism assumes that interaction between individuals and groups is based primarily on symbols. Thus, symbols and the study of their meaning are an integral part of sociology.